Вот. И вот в этом роде, в этом духе началось.
Threats,
Значит,
beatings.
шантаж,
They held a gun to my neck,
побои, пистолетом, и
then hit me with it, on my head, all over.
горло, и по виску, везде кругом.
But the worst thing was that they told me to sign a blank confession,
а что писать еще?
or they would shoot my mother.
Ничего не написано. Мы расстреляем твою мать.
From his last staging post at Kem, Sergei Shegelkov was transported to the island of Solovki. On the White Sea Island monastery of Solovki, monks have celebrated the rites of orthodoxy for 4 centuries, but in Russia, a harsh symbolism is never far away. Already during Lenin's lifetime, the chants of monks have changed to the work songs of innumerable prisoners. Stalin's policies in industry and agriculture will ensure the stream of new slaves will never run dry. Through blazing summers and the bitter winters to come, men like Sergei Shegelkov are sent out from Solovki Monastery and from mobile camps along its whole length to work and die on one of the most trumpeted Soviet achievements of the 30s, the building of the White Sea Canal. When the canal is completed and water floods its channels, thousands of prisoners will be disposed of by drowning. But the camp at Solovki is just one among the first great Soviet camps to be established on the islands of the White Sea. As the collectivization campaign proves the pressing need for new camps, millions of new prisoners are dispatched to other parts of the Soviet Union, to the harshest areas of Siberia and the far northeast, where the newly formed Gulag comes to control a fearsome necklace of camps stretching the entire length of the Soviet Union. They are building a nation is the propaganda theme. It is a theme many Russians still believe. But all too often, alongside the great working mass of the Soviet people, they are the system's zeks, the forced laborers condemned without trial, driven from the villages of the Ukraine, the Caucasus, the farmland of South Russia, or the deserts of Kazakhstan. In regions like Magadan in the far northeast, the newly formed Gulag comes to control vast industrial enterprises in lumber and mining. In eastern Siberia, the Gulag is presented as Dalstroy, the construction facility for the Far East. These are huge NKVD-run enterprises, blood brothers in conception to the great construction enterprises and slave labor hire companies which the SS will shortly establish in Germany. But from camps closer to the great cities, slave labor is imported to build the Moscow-Volga Canal, to build more than 1 in 10 new electricity stations, and to be used as additional labor in the construction of the great subway, which Khrushchev supervises for the greater glory of the state and its master. They are building a nation. But now, beyond the Soviet Union, the first gunshots in what will become a world at war. The Japanese Kwantung Army, acting independently of the Tokyo government, invades Manchuria. It is an onslaught which brings Japan and the Soviet Union face to face in the Far East. The attack is relentlessly pursued against military and civilian targets. And now, perilously close to Soviet western borders, the German election of January 1933 sweeps the Nazi Party to victory. From this moment on, Adolf Hitler will stand with Joseph Stalin on an equal pinnacle of power. He leads a people as yet only partially armed. He preaches a philosophy that claims that his people's rightful destiny lies in the East. In speech after speech, he lays claim to vast areas of Lebensraum, living space, within the borders of the Soviet Union.
Deutsche Jugend! Deutsche Mädchen! Unser Reichspräsident, General Feldmarschall von Hindenburg!
Now the destinies of these two great nations can no longer run peacefully parallel. Adolf Hitler's own statements have wrenched them onto a collision course. Yet Stalin's response to Hitler's rise is not predictable. The Soviet Union hurries to give recognition to the new Nazi state. In May 1933, just 3 months after Hitler becomes Chancellor, Stalin ratifies an extension of the 1926 Berlin Treaty of Friendship and Neutrality. Primakov was a senior Soviet officer and died as a victim of Stalin. His son quotes a unique passage from Trotsky.
The USSR is the only state that does not have hostile feelings towards Germany. It is not concerned about the form and character of the regime that is in power. You see, France and England and other democratic countries understood full well that the arrival of the Nazis to power was a threat to the whole world. But it didn't disturb us. We just carried on training German pilots and tank commanders on our territory. According to the Versailles Treaty, they were not allowed to do so in their own country, so we continued to do it for them. The fact is, we trained our own executioners. So, if someone says that Stalin was the savior of our motherland and the father of the nation, they really ought to understand that there has never been a worse traitor since Judas.
Across the country, the Soviet system is able to show dazzling achievements. Nobody dare mention the devastating cost. The 17th Party Congress records them in full. Whole new branches of industry in chemicals, synthetics and man-made fibers, vast new tractors and automobile plants, trucks in the Urals, the Dnieper hydroelectric project, and ever-growing literacy levels and levels of secondary education. The Great Party Congress in